Here we go, and we're started. So welcome, everybody. My name is Donnie Hill. I am the founder and CEO of Life Maximizer. I'm excited because for maybe 3 or 4 years now, I've been wanting to do video interviews with some of my mentors and some really great business professionals and entrepreneurs that I have met over the course of the years because I wanted to do my own business school. So now I get to do it on YouTube. And I'm happy to have my first guest with me today, Lynn Scheurell. She is the founder and CEO of My Creative Catalyst, and Lynn has been a mentor of mine for the past 7 or 8 years, I believe now. So I'm really excited to kick this venture off with her. So welcome, Lynn.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah. For the audience, I have no idea where this is going to go. So this is going to be fun for me as we explore. And also, I think you're really going to learn a lot. Part of my intention for this was thinking about my own journey as an entrepreneur and a business owner and wishing that I had a better understanding of how to build a business authentically, and that's in alignment with me and my own personal wisdom, and also my own personal joy and way of operating. And so what I wanted to talk to Lynn about today is really her perspective around what does it mean to be an entrepreneur? What does it mean to use your own personal wisdom as you think about building your business? But before we dive into some of that conversation, Lynn, tell everybody a little bit about who you are and how you became a catalyst.
Well, I don't know if well, let's see. I mean, I never really became a catalyst. I just am one. Like, I remember being a little kid and like 5 or 6 years old and figuring out different ways to clean the house more effectively. You know what I mean? Like I would come up with a little system. Yeah. So I've just always been a change facilitator, maybe. A change agent, I don't know. So, and my friend actually named me because I didn't know what to call myself. And he said, well, you're a catalyst and you do it creatively. He goes, creative catalyst, duh. And so, yeah, that was how I became creative catalyst. And I remembered that I was doing it for a really long time. And maybe after 5 or 6 or 7 years, it's been over 20 now. But after the first few years, I noticed somebody else was saying creative catalyst a lot. And I said, hey, I sent an email. I said, could you mind not using that? Because that's my name. And whatever. She goes, oh, please. She goes, have you looked? That's like a job description now. I was like, okay.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow. Well, it's perfect because it's so much about what I just shared a few minutes ago around how do you build a business from who you are or what you do naturally. And so you don't even think of yourself as becoming, or even think about it as a journey becoming a catalyst. It was, no, this is how I show up in my day-to-day, and it just happened. So then tell me a little bit about your journey professionally and how you came to working with business owners and entrepreneurs and thought leaders.
So it started I've always been an entrepreneur. I've always had something going. Even when I had corporate jobs and I was trying to live between the lines of what they say is going to make you successful, I tried doing that, became the incredible shrinking woman. So that just didn't work. And so I've always had like side gigs, and they were usually my own because I'm not really great with authority. And so I just do my own thing. And, this version of my business started in 1998, and I was working with a coach, actually. And I said, I'm just not sure which way do I go. Like, should I be a catalyst? Should I be a feng shui person? And she's like, pick one. Months. After months, she finally said, I can't take it anymore. Doink, you're doing feng shui. Okay. And so that has continued through today. I still have flowingfengshui.com. Feng Shui is definitely my first love. When I started working with people, I was attracting a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs. And they were like, well, how are you building your business? And what are you doing? And that led me into doing business development, really. So I was working with people who were either in business and doing well, or wanted to do a new form of business. They wanted to freshen their own perspective on business. And so from that point, I got into helping people understand who they are through business, that business is really kind of the accelerated self-mastery program that you never expected you would have. It's kind of like being shot. And then from there, it was, the practicals, like, what's your purpose? What's your message? How does this show up? What's a viable business model? What's your signature system? What's your marketing method? What's your strategy? And so, and then from there, it got into, people would go and build their websites. They'd find somebody, and then that person didn't help them or translate it. They were like, can you just do it? Can you just write my book? Can you just do my website? And so I became this one-stop shop to help people, which is a great experience, and I'm honored. And it's been wonderful watching people's careers and businesses unfold. And as a catalyst, my job is to do what I do and then get out. Like I'm a fire starter, right? It just happens that I'm really good at a lot of things. And so over time, it just I got into doing that. And really, my probably the secret sauce of my work is that I connect with what's under the surface for someone. So I can pull through the things that they can't see for themselves and help that become part of their business and their brand promise. So it's pretty wonderful.
It is. And like I mentioned, I've been working with you now for a number of years, and you were the one who gave me my name of the Life Maximizer. And so it has evolved 4 or 5 times since we began working with each other. But I remember one of the things that I found so powerful about your work is I would have the idea or pieces of the idea, but then I would share it with you and you would say, oh, well, have you thought about this? Or here's how this goes together. So you really helped me connect the dots between all of these disparate pieces. And that's such a gift to have as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, because I think our focus gets spread so thin trying to do so many things, particularly if we're a solopreneur. And to have you not only as a coach and as an advisor and as someone who can think methodically about the different systems or infrastructure that need to place or our messaging and content, it's such a gift, because then it's no longer just about me trying to figure out how to piece it all together, or about your clients trying to piece it all together. You get to help them see how their whole ecosystem comes together.
Synthesizing is definitely one of the things that is another part of my secret sauce. I can bring in these random, seemingly disconnected pieces, and poof, they suddenly fit. So, yeah. Pattern recognition, I don't even know. Synthesizing, though, it's like alchemy. That's, yeah.
That's your jam.
That's my jam. It is.
As you think about where you are in your business right now and the type of work that you want to do, how do you really see yourself helping thought leaders and business owners now versus when you just started?
Well, when I first started, it was a lot of basic education. Here's the pieces. Here's the outside tactics. Here's the techniques. Now it's really, I'm working with people who really have a sense of who they are. They know who they are. They've already been in business. I'm probably not for newbies anymore so much. Or if it is somebody who's going to be new in business, I mean, they want the ride of their lives. So, it happens fast. And that's something that I do as well, is I don't fit in boxes, because I meet you where you are. And then that's what determines how fast we're going to go, where we're going to go. And sometimes, it's actually, I hear it quite often, not even sometimes, but quite a bit. I will hear from clients, they'll say, well, I don't really know what we're talking about today. And then those are the most powerful sessions, right? Because that's when we allow source to come through and guide. And so then I can take that and translate, and, it becomes magical. It becomes really magical. So I would say, and the difference now is that another difference is that my clients are willing to invest in tools like a book, or if they're going to do a website, it's not a one-pager. It's like, let's make a robust piece. And there's a lot more strategy to it, a lot more moving parts. When I first started, it was like, ooh, I had a one-page website and I can send an email. It's changed a lot. And keeping up with that has been current, and to keep me current has been a lot of fun. And so I would say I do more the holistic view of someone's life and business put together, and then help that become a viable source of joy and happiness and revenue through service. Right?
Yeah. You really helped me think differently about business now, rather than just seeing it as a means to an end. I really think about it as my own personal spiritual practice. I get to talk to my clients differently because of it. I get to work with my vendors differently because of it. As I'm thinking about what service means to me, I get to define it differently than I was thinking about it before I started working with you. And one of the pieces that you just mentioned was this idea of bringing source into the conversation. And I think for many of the new entrepreneurs or new business owners who are particularly coming into my sphere and my community, there's this spiritual component to it. Some might call it God, some might call it source, some call it love, oneness, whatever. But that is very much a real thing. And there's also this intuitive side to business. So how did you, for yourself and for your clients, how did you go about aligning the two, or becoming okay with the two being in the same conversation? And then how do you help your clients really bring more of their own personal wisdom and intuition and source into their work and into their business as well?
So for years, my tagline was helping soul-driven entrepreneurs, and people had no idea what that was. And I didn't make very much money because people just didn't get it. I was so far ahead of the curve. Then people started talking about holistic business. Then they started talking about conscious business. Then they started talking about spirituality and intuition in business. Like, it's kind of evolved over time. And I've just been way ahead of the curve. And I just literally saw last week somebody saying, oh, soul-driven business. And I'm like, wow, talk about a full circle moment. So, yeah, mission-driven, purpose-driven, heart-centered, so many different monikers, right? But the central piece of that for me is that there's a sacred exchange. And the sacred exchange that happens is beyond what it looks like on the surface. On the surface, it looks like a business transaction, but really what it means is that you have distilled the essence of your gift and talent, your path to service, in a way that people can consume and value and pay you for it. And then you are rewarded through them by source for having birthed that in a way that contributes, that makes a difference. You know what I mean? Like, there's a sacred exchange that happens. So that's one piece. And I've written on that in the past. I don't even know where all my writings are anymore. I need to probably do something like that. But there was also, I had a pivotal aha, maybe 10 years ago now, that people in business, it used to be that people would say, oh, I want to make a bunch of money. So what am I going to do to get it? Who's going to buy it? And how will that impact my life? Well, it's flipped, right? The new entrepreneur, what you said, is first it's like, who am I? And who can I serve? What do they need? And oh yeah, the money's gonna be a byproduct, right? It just completely flipped that creation circle or that cycle. So, and in doing that, you really can't support others until you know who yourself is. I don't know if that's the right conjugation there, but you have to know yourself in order to be able to serve better, right? So, but you don't need to know everything before you start either. that's the thing. You can't, it's never going to be perfect. It's always going to be evolving. I hope it is. It's always going to be growing then, right? So by having the insight, now, if you're an entrepreneur that sells widgets, great, but you still need to know that you're that entrepreneur that's going to sell a widget, right? The people that are usually drawn to working with me are the types of people that we're talking about. People who want to take the very essence of who they are and bring that forward in service in a way that helps others and rewards them in living a fulfilled, joyous, and happy life. So, those are my people. And your people, I think, as well. So I don't really get a lot of widget makers, which is, but I love them. They, we all have a place, right? So, so when you said to align spirit and business, it becomes a very natural, like almost like a how can you not do that, right? So that alignment, that attunement really needs to happen, or you will feel dissatisfaction, disease, discomfort. It just becomes really hard. And business business can be challenging, but when it's who you are and your passion, and it's in alignment with the path to abundance that you've naturally been assigned or gifted at, then it flows. And when you're in that flow state, everything works better. So maybe it's about coming from flow state. I don't know. So I help people try to find that for themselves.
Well, as you were sharing, what kept coming to mind, or the visual that I kept getting, is like this little package of passion or ball of passion, and you're slowly translating the ball or the energy into something very tangible and real, and so it becomes a product, or it becomes a service in the hopes that it helps someone move forward in their life, in their business, in their relationship, in their health. But it starts with you. So I love your description of how you talk about it, because at least in this journey, I'm finding myself having a lot more fun in building my business and building relationships, because it's coming from my essence first, versus me trying to put somebody else's business model or framework for success onto myself.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Yeah. It's like trying to wear somebody else's clothes and they just don't fit quite right,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as you think about everything that's happening now around the pandemic and the economy and the business landscape, what do you see as being the next evolution of business, and how can entrepreneurs or business owners pivot their work or think about their work differently to help them align with where business is going to go?
That's a huge question, and a significant one. So life is change. Change is the only constant, and business is a reflection of that. I believe entrepreneurs are making their own economy, which then shapes the global economy. So we have a lot of power that we might not remember. So I think that's one piece, is remembering that. I think business going forward, because everything went on pause, people have had time to really think about the lives they've created and actually be in the lives they've created, which is not very comfortable for some,
Yeah.
Really suffering. And as a result, they're looking at their careers and saying, is this really where I want to be? And they're looking at their relationships, their life, their house, everything. So this is just a game changer on so many levels. And in business, I believe it's really about finding ways to understand yourself better and what you can offer or deliver. And then it's about identifying different ways to provide even greater value to the people that you want to work with. So it's really about serving people and the most valuable thing that you have to offer as a business person is perspective.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding your own perspective and sharing that, and From there, you create solutions based on what you understand about the people you want to work with, combined with your own passion, skills, gifts, talents, perspective. So it's kind of like, things are just coming together in a new way. There's just a new equation where it's even more important to be authentic and transparent and aligned. And, if anything is out of whack, and there's, you and I had an experience the other day where we were looking at somebody's website, and it's somebody that we really love, respect, and adore. And we're looking at their website, and we found where there were distortions that probably were unknown. Really easy for us to see because we're outside, right? So whether you start by looking at what's your message in business, or if you look at, what's my website saying, if you look at what your offers are, if you look at what your client base looks like, in business, no matter where you look, there is a growth opportunity that is calling you forward. So even if you're super successful, then, okay, what's next? What's your next? And maybe if what's next is to say, okay, I'm going to take the brakes, I'm going to put the brakes on and just live my life for a while. It might even be that. So it's always about what's your next step in evolution through your business, which I'm not even sure I answered your question, but did I?
No, you did. You did. It was fantastic. And part of the beauty, I think, of what's happening right now, not to say that the severity of it isn't real, is that we're getting to slow down and really think about what she said. What kind of life have we built for ourselves so far? What kind of business have we built for ourselves so far? And is it something that we enjoy? Do we want to continue moving forward in this way, or do we want to do something differently? And I think what I've gotten out of this experience is, I need to move at a much slower pace. I've been working in tech for 5 years, and I learned a lot, and it was great, but it was also exhausting. But I didn't realize how exhausted I was until after I got out of it and started doing my own thing. I was like, I have more time to just breathe and to relax and enjoy the things around me, and really focus on what matters to me or what's important to me. You already know, but for those who are just listening, I worked with cancer patients and their families for 4 years. And a lot of those conversations were around death, what they wish they would have done, not being able to see their kids grow up, and some really deep, just personal stuff. And what I got out of that experience is, it's time for me to live my life now, because at some point I'm going to make my transition. But until that moment, I really want to maximize my time here on Earth. I want to maximize my contribution and my legacy, and the relationships that I have with my friends and my families and my loved ones. But I didn't realize where I wasn't doing that until we were in shelter in place for the past 2 months, and I didn't have to go anywhere. So it's like, I can work when I want to work and stop, and then spend time with my family, which is really, really, really nice. All right, so we have 2 more questions, and this one is really one of my favorites, because it's a more reflective question for you. Of what's one thing that you wish every business owner or entrepreneur would know that you wish you would have received as you were on your own journey?
Immediately, the first thing I get is to listen to your own wisdom. Listen to your own wisdom, because I would, if someone said, do this, I would go do that, and then it wouldn't work out the way that I thought it would. Or if I went to go do this, it just, to listen to your own wisdom. And at several points in my career, that's been the case. Remember I shared with you about the coach who told me to go and do feng shui? Well, yeah. Early in my career, my feng shui master had said, do sessions at no cost to get the experience. Well, I kept doing that and doing that and doing that for like a year. I did feng shui consultations and charged nothing. And I finally went back and I was like, well, when can I, this is just, it's a lot now. And she said, oh, well, now's your moment then. Now that you're asking that question, start charging. So I just went crazy and assign. I didn't know what to charge. She was like, well, feel what's right. So I started charging $75. $75 with, at that time I would do as long as it took. I mean, anywhere from 2 to, the longest I ever did was an 11-hour session because we did home.
Wow.
Yeah, it was intense. And so it was good. It was because I learned. So I was telling my feng shui or my business coach about it. And she said, I really just, I wasn't getting any sessions. I wasn't growing. I couldn't figure it out. And so she said, well, I think you need to look at your rate, what you're charging. And she said, I'm going on vacation for about 3 weeks. So I want you to meditate on a number. And when I get back, we're going to talk it through. And there you go. Well, me being me, that I wasn't waiting for 3 weeks. So I meditated that night and I was like, oh, I got a number. And so when I had someone call me, within the next day or two, I had a call. I used that new number. And when I said it, my voice kind of shook, and when my client wrote the check, his hand kind of shook, And what was so interesting about it is that he said within 48 hours of investing that in our session, he brought that in and more in unexpected ways, right? So investing in himself through feng shui, through me, actually opened up a whole new path of abundance, right? Meanwhile, in the next, time before my coach got back from vacation, I had like 10 sessions. That was more than I'd had in 3 months. And I had that all happen in the space of a couple of weeks, right? So she gets back and she goes, okay, did you meditate on a number? I said, yep. She said, great. I said, in fact, I started using it. And she goes, and I said, well, I've got all these. And she said, oh, she goes, well, what was the number? Because in her head, she's thinking $75. And I said, $450. Fell off her chair. So had I listened to her, I said, well, what were you thinking it would be? And she said, I was thinking maybe doubling at 150 or, had I followed conventional wisdom or what someone else would have thought. And that theme has shown up multiple times, in my career and in watching what my clients are doing. So for me personally, that was one of my pivot points. But I had another client who was doing amazing, unique work. She's a composer. She would actually meet with someone. She would connect with them intuitively, really understand them. She would get their goals in advance. She would sit down. She would compose their soul music. She would play it. She would record it. Then she would break it down with an analysis of here's why this is. Da, da, da. So would you care to hazard a guess how much she was charging for it?
Prior to working with you, maybe $125.
$25.
$25? Wow.
Yeah. So after I said, you know what? I'll take 2. And so then in doing that, she realized that it was taking her like 6 to 8 hours. Plus, this is a very unique service. She now, at the time, she went up to, I think she went to 175 and then it went up to 400. But she had to grow into that level of abundance, right? So her decision to work with me is what opened things up for her. She would have probably gotten that some other way. It's not necessarily, what do they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears? I don't know.
Yeah.
And so, I would say that listen to your own wisdom. Like if you get a spark to do something, like work with someone or change your rate or grow your business or add this service or work with that person or whatever, listen to your own wisdom. Don't worry about the big box programs. Don't worry about what they say you should do. Really just follow your own inner guidance. Source has your back. Just take a minute to connect. That's all. You'll get the right answer.
Yeah.
And it could be,
I often send,
it could be working with you. I mean, someone could come in and go, oh, I think I need to maximize my life. I don't really know what that means. I think you've even had that conversation with someone where they said, I don't know who you are, or I just know I'm supposed to work with you. So let's
Yeah, but that was funny. I recently got a referral from a lady I worked with 3 or 4 years ago, and the first time we spoke, she said, "I don't really know what you do, but I heard I should talk with you, and I think we're going to do a lot of work together." It's like, great, that works for me. Let's have a conversation. But whenever I do work on projects with you, it's the same. It's like, Lynn, I have no idea what's about to come, but I feel like I'm about to give you a lot of money. And it's like, great, let's let's begin. And it just flows and it goes, and it's been really great. Which leads me to my last question: if people want to connect with you or learn more about your work, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, I have my website is at my name, lynnscheurell.com, which is not easy to spell. So if you go to mycreativecatalyst.com, it will also take you to that website. So that's probably the predominant way. But if you Google me anywhere, you're going to find me. I'm kind of all over the place. So you'll see me. You can find me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and your wisdom and your laughter, and being my first guest. I'm excited to share this with the Life Maximizer community and those who happen to find this video. But until then, I hope you stay well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.